Do you want to have a landing page so good and so converting that your email list goes up whether or not you promote this page or not? That's what I want to get you to with these 4 elements of a landing page that can help with your conversion, but are often put low on the totem pole. Hey, I'm Danielle. I'm an ethical sales conversion strategist specializing in sales funnels and sales messaging to help out with online entrepreneurs to convert their next 100 buyers with ease and ethics. Let's dive into the first one, which so often people don't understand how to optimize their testimonials to have more conversions from. When you think about testimonials, you probably either see them in a couple of different forms. Either a screenshot from someone who had it in their group where they're just like, hey, here's someone saying something very casual. It feels very much of that social proof that we look for, and we kind of read it and then go on. It helps a little bit, but not too much. The other side, which is actually a more written testimonial, where you actually see it written out. They're just saying, this was amazing, I love this so much, this was so good, I got results from it. The thing about testimonials is there's actually different rankings for the different type of testimonials and social proof that there are, and actually how to optimize yours. They actually bring more conversions for you without you having to do a lot. So the first one you've probably seen are those screenshots, the ones you see all the time of just screenshotting from your Instagram, your Facebook, whatever it is where your students are, where they're just saying, I love this so much, it's so amazing. They can be a little bit helpful when it comes to like a scale from 1 being very little effective to 10 being they are the most converting. They will easily help your people like that. They're closer to a 2. It doesn't mean that they can't be helpful. Maybe even a 3 if it's like a really good screenshot where people are talking about something more in depth and more specific. But naturally, the nature of social media, especially in the online space, is one, most often if it's like a DM or a comment, there's a character limit. So you really can't have them go that deep into a testimonial. And often when we think about them, yes, they can help a little bit feel like that more organic type of experience, but they don't actually help people to get the specifics they need from that person and their story to help them to relate to it. In reality, the best type of testimonial that you're going to find here is one that actually follows a hero's formula. So this first one being the screenshot, again, they're not bad to use, but just realize they're there to kind of be like a booster. They're not going to do a lot of the heavy lifting for you. Then there's more of the written testimonial. Again, it's actually good. It can be helpful. But so often we don't actually know the points we need them to hit and talk about and explain to the people to understand that this is the right place for them. So I put written testimonials, ones you see in a lot of sales pages, closer to like a 5. Just because they don't really go into the level of story and the journey we need to see from them, because we don't actually know the questions to ask usually or how to help guide them to bring out more specific scenarios, actually relate to our people more than just like, this was a great course. Third one is going to be a video testimonial. Those are always going to be the best ones, I think, when it comes to finding that sweet spot of just having someone be in front of you. I mean, there's a reason why YouTube and these things are here, because this video shortcuts so much of that impressions we're trying to create. If you've heard of it before in the marketing space, it used to be where it was around 7 to 10 impressions for people to remember you and trust you. Now it's closer to like 20 or 30 just from how much content's out there. So when you have people who are doing videos for you, like a testimonial, it does help a lot because it helps people to see like, oh, this is a real person. They're not just writing something, especially since the more cautious people might think written might have been staged, it might have been plagiarized, something like that. Most people who are watching this, I know that's not you, but so often if you have customers who have been burned by other people, by scams, that might be in the back of their mind with written ones. So video is closer to that 7, probably even 8, depending on how good the video is. And a 10 is usually going to be a case study. Now, a case study is interesting because so often we think of a case study being like a multi-page thing. I have tons of them on my page. You can find them in the description below. I do mine more written in videos. They add in both elements. So why a case study testimonial done in a very specific way is going to be that 10 for you is because you're going to lead them through hero's journey type of questioning. You might have heard this in the online space with, what's his name? Donald Miller? I think that's his name, who does the Build a Story brand. But it's really with any movie. Think about any movie, including like the Star Wars franchise, where there is a hero who's at the before, has some type of conflict that happens, either can rise above it or rise below it, and then the resolution. I know that's like so simplified. But the thing is, so often when we're talking to our people, like for example, if you help them to create that video for them, with our students, we don't actually realize because they're on the other side, they're on that end credits, they're on that after, it's actually really hard for them to connect back to that before side, even the middle. Think about the last type of thing you overcame. Maybe it was something around finances, weight, maybe it was just even just getting out of bed. And because you're now on the other side, it's a lot easier for you to speak to the other side because you're on it. The issue is that your people right now are in the before, they're at the beginning part of their movie, and maybe even a little bit in the middle. But because most testimonials are focused on the other side, the after, because again, the customer is on the other side, so they can speak to that more, we're actually not realizing that that gap that they need to understand that they can get to the after has to come from a very specific and relatable before or middle scenario. Think about it where you hear someone say like, I lost 15 pounds. That's great. But the issue is if I'm someone who hasn't lost 15 pounds before, I'm going to say that's great. But if I already hear their before was like they were overeating a lot, they were binge eating, that they couldn't be able to figure out how to like heal their relationship with food. And then they're able to have this middle part, the like conflict, where they really had to look at their scale and say, do I really want to spend a life or spend the rest of my life having to get winded by chasing my kids around the living room? Or do you want to try and do this one last time? Do you see that even though it talks about that 15 pounds, that first part, the context, creates that level of specificity to make people understand that they are the before like them. They are the relatability side that you need that'll do so much of that heavy lifting for you. Because if you just go, because again, it's so often for our brains to go straight to the after, it's not going to be as impactful as it would be if you help them to answer a couple of those hero-based questions from before and after. And the easiest way to get them to pull out a more specific section, like the before and even the middle, is tell me about a time when blank. So tell me about a time when you were struggling or like on the fence about if you wanted to actually commit to this goal one more time, right before you joined. That helps them to go back in their brain and actually talk about a scenario that gets them to be that specific for you. So I have an entire mini training on my podcast all about like the two main ways to optimize it, including the hero's journey, plus another part that no one talks about that I want you to be able to use today. There's no opt-in required. Just listen to the video and you'll find all the answers you need. But this can be one of those pieces that can convert so much more than you realize just because you're being more strategic and more intentional about what you actually have on the page and the gold mine that testimonials can be. And you can actually have this still come through when it comes to those screenshots, when it comes to those written parts. So if you want to hear all about that before you go to the podcast, I go in so much more depth. I give you actual questions to ask. I give you the actual layout of it. But if you were to do anything else, testimonials and optimizing those for conversions would be the best place to begin. Now, I know I said this is a landing page, so you might be like, well, if it's for like a webinar or for a landing page, I don't really have that many conversion, or I don't have many screenshots. Maybe it's a new lead magnet, whatever it might be. So when it comes to like a landing page, I do see testimonials be used more often when it comes to a sales page, but I actually believe they can be used really well and intentionally with an opt-in page and a thank you page too. So if you haven't tried this out before, you can even help to, again, use those screenshots you're already using, but better help to give that context so people understand the importance and the before that's needed. So the second thing that people don't realize, especially if you're going to have this be marketed to a cold audience, so for example, if this is a lead magnet or webinar, maybe you plan to have it go to ads, or maybe it's going to be whenever you go on a podcast or speaking event, this is going to be there first. Something we don't realize, again, testimonials are a great way of social proof to help cut the amount of impressions and the trust they need to have with you because people are speaking for you. So another way to add that level of credibility, in case you don't have that many there when it comes to testimonials, is adding in a logo list. You might have seen this a lot when it comes to like the bigger name people in your industry where it shows that like as seen on ABC News or I always forget, ABC News, Wall Street Journal, all that kind of stuff. The really cool thing is that yes, maybe those other logos can hold a little bit more weight. Just showing more logos in general, where before her actual page did not have a logo list at all. And even though she's not someone who maybe is in like the big ABC News side, she's still been places. She still has her name out there, and we can use those pieces from those logo lists. Even if people don't know what the logo is, if they see that you've been featured on something, their brain naturally associates you as the authority. And again, when we're doing something to a cold audience, we need them to very easily pick up that we are the person for them. If we're able to have that quicker turnaround when it comes to, oh, you are actually an expert just by them seeing the logos, so important. And I'll actually put down a landing page template that I give that actually goes through how to pull out that logo list and so much more for yourself. If you want to look at that, you can go down in the description below. But weirdly, it works so well. Like, I have seen the difference in conversions, seen the difference in people scrolling down, because you are now giving them that unconscious priming that their brain needs. It goes, this stuff, again, even though it is conscious, they understand like, oh, this person's more of an expert, it's really for a lot of their subconscious and unconscious thing to pair, wow, this person's been in places, they're probably going to be an expert for what I need. So this is a very 5-minute task that you can do that'll help you to increase your conversions without you really having to do much else when it comes to the actual sales page copy. This third element is going to be something that maybe you've heard of, but it is actually really impactful, which is around your bland AF button copy. When I tell you that when you're going to a cold audience, or especially just people who need that more, who are naturally more hesitant, if you're able to use the powers for good of conversion marketing and knowing psychology, one of the easiest ways to get people to come into your audience is by helping them to easily, unconsciously say yes. Say yes to what you have, say yes to what you do, and the way you can enhance that, having something in your button to actually connect that to their desires. So this is where you probably have seen before in some pages where they say, yes, I want to lose 10 pounds in 10 days. Again, please don't use a big desire like that, but yes, I want to be able to get more clients, and that's the actual button copy. It's what you can do to click on the button versus, yes, I want access, or yes, I want in. Those inherently are not bad, and those are actually great for if you're doing to a warm audience who already know and love you. But because we're going to a cold audience, or people who might not know who we are, we need to make this mostly about them. So we need to really up the ante on showing them that this is where their desire is going to be. They can get their desires by seeing that the button, this next step that they're going to press, is taking them there. Very simple, very quick, very easy. You can do on your own. If you want to try and do down below, feel free to let me know. But I want to make sure you realize this small thing, these are all small pieces that are helping to build that part of the brain where they naturally are just in the wavering state. This will help to shorten it so much. So just try that out. It's very specific. Again, this is another 5-minute task, but it can really help out with your conversions, especially if you've already had this page up for a while, because it gets them to have that unconscious yes to you and their desires, and to link that correlation in their brain that you are someone who can help them with their desire. Now, the last thing that I might go into, not realizing how long of a video this is going to be, I'll put it in a separate video, talking about how the other thing you can do, this is mainly for a sales page, but transitioning your FAQs on a sales page, which are usually again, the how many calls are you going to get today? Is it going to be in a Eastern Standard Time zone? All those pieces, I want you to actually chuck them, keep them, move them to the side for a second, and let's focus on situational, frequently asked questions, which means that we go beyond just the logistics, because you can do logistics in one of these FAQs. If you're really wanting to increase more conversions without you having to do so much more calls, revamp everything, if you're able to address more of their objections that are, again, more personal, more situational, that'll actually help you so much more than just how many calls do I have answering. Again, it's good to answer it, but you don't need 5 of them for. Take it and put it into one, and the rest of them are going to be focused on helping to circumvent, to shorten the belief they need on themselves, the belief in the program, and the belief in you in order to buy. And I'll talk about this in a separate video because honestly, again, didn't realize how long this is going to be, and I don't want to keep you here forever. So what I'd love for you to do before we dive into the next video is make sure to just choose one of these 3 tasks above and try it out for today. If you want to do the testimonial, this is the podcast, it's actionable, you can do it today. Logo list, use a template, 5 minutes, you're done. Even with a button copy, 5 minutes, you're done. Try these things out, because I know it sounds like it's so minimal, but sometimes the best things are the things that you don't realize, that 10% change that'll actually start to pick up more momentum for you than you realize. So without further ado, let's go into the next video and talk about the situational FAQs and the 3 beliefs people need in order to say yes and invest.